Hey guys, Michael Fire and Brilliance, and today's episode will be very special. If you didn't tune in last week, we were talking about simulated and synthetic gemstones. In this week's episode, we will be going over natural gemstones. I'm gonna get right into it. Okay, so first of all, happy holidays, Merry Christmas. This beautiful picture here right behind me is of a beautiful Morganite. It is a natural gemstone, and obviously with the holiday decorations around it. Okay, so let's go over some natural gemstones today. What does it mean to say that something is natural, right? Well, a gemstone is a gemstone regardless if it's a lab created or natural, but specifically naturals are gemstones that naturally occur in nature, all right? So in other words, if it's been mined, if it's been unearthed, if it's been found in nature, then that's a naturally occurring gemstone, right? So you may ask, okay, well, what kind of gemstones are available in nature? Well, there are many types of different types of gemstones. Okay, but let's go over a few. Today's episode, we're going to be going over a few of many gemstones that you may not have heard of. All right. Well, first of all, let's go over a few. Something real quick here. Most natural gemstones are treated to enhance its clarity and color while amplifying its beauty. Okay, they can be spotted through visible natural inclusions. Okay, so you may ask, what does that mean? Right? Well, when something is treated in terms of natural gemstones, it does not necessarily mean that it's been lab created. Sometimes that is a confusion. So let me go ahead and clarify as to what that means. When people say most natural gemstones are treated, basically what they're saying is that it's actually treated in different ways. Sometimes they add heat. Sometimes there are other obviously, I don't want to go. I made an episode about this before. I could definitely link it to you, but there's a lot of different treatment ways that gemstones can be treated to enhance the clarity grade as well as the color grade, so that it can make it more beautiful. Okay, and most natural gemstones in the marketplace are treated. Okay, it doesn't necessarily mean that's been lab created. It's actually just a natural gemstone that has been enhanced to make it more beautiful. Now, one of the key ways to find out if your gemstone is actually a natural or not, and this is not 100% true, but one of the ways to figure it out is to see if your natural gemstone has an inclusion. All right. So that's the reason why they say they can be spotted through visible natural inclusions. Now, if you take a look at this picture here, if you take a look into it, it may look very clear, but if you take a if you really look into it, you may see little specks of white, little inclusions like that. May determine whether it's natural or not. Now that said, I don't want to do a deep dive in inclusions. I've done many of those episodes as well. I could definitely link it after the fact for you. But most lab-created gemstones do not have inclusions, although some do. Okay, so it doesn't necessarily mean that it is natural. Some lab-grown gemstones do have inclusions, but most natural gemstones will have inclusions. So if you do spot inclusions, chances are there's a higher chance that it is a natural as opposed to a lab created form. All right, so let's go ahead and go into the next slide here. Most people, what they think about when they think about natural gemstones is they'll think about diamonds, right? Natural diamonds, or some other precious gems such as blue sapphires, or sapphires, regardless if it's blue or not, or red rubies, right? Or green emeralds. But what I want to go over today is not more of the precious gemstones from diamonds, sapphires, emeralds, or rubies. I want to go over some of the more uncommon natural gemstones that you may or may not have heard about. So I want to do a deeper dive there in terms of these gemstones to kind of bring it to light, as many people may or may not know. And I think it's nice to know because there's so much information out in the web right now of other gemstones, or more of the precious gemstones as opposed to the semi-precious gemstones. Okay, so this is an opal. You may not know, but opals, the very rare opals, sometimes can be much more expensive than the precious gemstones such as diamonds, sapphires, rubies, and emeralds. But In this case, the common opals are in white, yellow, gray, black, or brown. But the most beautiful opals are red, orange, pink, green, and blue. So you can take a look here. These opals are cabochon. So in other words, that's the way it's been cut, where it's rounded and not faceted. Right. There are three different color variations from the left to the right. As you can see there on the left, it's a little more of a peachy white, more like a pearl look. The one in the center is a little more opaque, very white, and then the one on the all the way on the right looks as if it's a very full on a white color. Now the main styled image there with two rings gives it a very rainbow look. Right, so it's a gorgeous, gorgeous stone. If you don't know what opals are, these are opals, okay? And on the Mohs scale, what does a Mohs scale measure? It measures the hardness of a gemstone. Again, we've been following our channel for a long time. Diamonds are the hardest with a 10 out of 10. Moissanite second, anywhere between a 9.25 to 9.5 out of 10. On a Mohs scale, an opal measures anywhere between a 5 to a 6.5. Okay, so it's not the hardest, is definitely not the softest. So anyone that wears natural gemstones, especially if it's not a diamond or a moissanite, it's very recommended to be mindful when you are wearing jewelry with natural gemstones, because if you are heavy with your hands, you may definitely scratch the gemstone, if not chip it. Okay, but this is an opal and is absolutely stunning. So before we go into the next slide here, I do want to let you know, obviously, we are a jewelry company. So if you've been following our channel for a long time, you may already know that we are a jewelry company. If you haven't checked out our website, go to fireandbrilliance.com. Many of these natural gems rings are available on our website if you are interested. Okay, so and all of the pictures here, what you're seeing here, are pictures taken directly from our website. All right, so that said, let's go ahead and go into the next slide. Morganite. What is a Morganite? Morganite is exactly what you see here. These gemstones are usually pinkish, peachy pink, rose, or salmon. Okay, so many people will use different words, whether they say peachy pink or pinky orange or rosy or salmon or so there's a bunch of different terminologies, but it's usually this range in colors. Okay, so basically pink or lighter pink or slightly more of a rosy pink. As you can see, the image on the right there, the Christmas image all the way to the right, that's exactly what I mean. If you take a look inside of the gemstone, you may see some inclusions. You see those little specks of white. Sometimes these inclusions are visible to the naked eye, and that's actually 100% normal. Right, it's actually very, very normal to see, unlike lab grown gems, which is made almost to perfection. These gemstones does naturally occur in nature, and since nature is chaotic, these inclusions are quite normal. Now, all of these morganites that you see from left to right, you see that image on the left-hand side, that's actually a morganite paired with opals. So on the halo, those are all opals. On the center stone, it's a morganite. It's actually quite beautiful. The image on the center there is an emerald cut morganite, and then the image all the way to the right, that's an oval, a beautiful large oval cut morganite. And then obviously the last image all the way in the right, the Christmas image, there is a cushion cut, and that is also a morganite. Okay, and that's exactly what I mean when I say most colored gemstones are treated or enhanced. So for example, if you see that stone all the way to the right, that's actually a gorgeous stone, and it's been minimized. The inclusions as well as the color has been enhanced. So if you're to see it from its natural form, you may actually see the inclusions may be much more apparent, and the color may be slightly lighter. All right, so the reason why they enhance it is to make it more beautiful, right? So on the Mohs scale for morganites here, it's a 7.5 to an 8. Morganites, if you don't know, many people, if this is new to you, then I'm glad you're basically watching this channel and learning about it. But if you don't know, morganites are actually very, very popular. Many people do love morganite, especially if they're into pink gemstones. All right, let's go on to the next one here, aquamarine. Aquamarine is another gemstone. Again, if you're new to it, then I'm glad you're here to learn about it. But if you are not new to gemstones, aquamarine is another gemstone that is quite popular. That's a semi-precious gemstone outside of the precious diamonds, sapphires, emeralds, and rubies. Usually the colors can be described as blue, bluish green, greenish blue, or a very nice hue blue. Sometimes it's a little darker, sometimes a lighter, a water blue, a sky blue. Basically, that's the color scheme of an aquamarine. All right. So if you take a look from the left to the right, that's an oval cut aquamarine, and the gemstone to the right is all the way to the right is a round cut aquamarine. On the Mohs scale is a 7.5 to an 8, so it is above the average in terms of the hardness. But again, anything below a 9, even obviously even diamonds and moissanite, be careful when you are wearing it, because obviously anything can chip, but if you are wearing a natural gemstone, just be mindful. And if you do love natural gemstones, and many people do, this is an absolutely stunning option if you're into blue stones. Now, obviously, blue stones, there are so many. You got Tanzanite, you have blue sapphires. I mean, you have so many other options as well, but aquamarine is definitely one of the very popular options if you are into aquamarines, or blue gemstones rather. All right, so let's go to the next stone here. It is a Tanzanite. A Tanzanite can be described as a purple, blue, purplish blue, bluish purple. But basically, that's the hue, right? So as you can see there, the color is not exactly blue. The color is not exactly purple, but it just gives it a deep, dark, beautiful hue, and it's just absolutely stunning gemstone. It's a Tanzanite. And the Tanzanite comes from the word Tanzania, right? So these stones do come from there. And on the Mohs scale, it's from a 6 to a 7, right? So it's still above average in terms of hardness. Is absolutely stunning. And if you find a very rare Tanzanite, it can be quite expensive. But the majority of Tanzanites in the office, I'm sorry, in the market, right, is actually mostly, just like this, usually treated to enhance its beauty and to enhance its not only clarity but color. All right, so it's a really, really pretty gemstone if you are into this specific color spectrum. All right. So let's go on to the next stone here. It's called a moonstone. It can be colorless as well as peach, pink, green, gray, yellow, brown, blue, or a multitude of colors. Sometimes it can be even rainbowish. All right, so it's actually quite stunning. On a Mohs scale, it's from a 6 to 6.5. It's also a cabochon. Usually, when you see a moonstone, that's how it's cut. It's really, the surface is very nice and smooth. It's not faceted. So from the left to the right, you see there the ring here is a bezeled set ring with a moonstone in the center. And I don't blame it for being called a moonstone. You take a look at it, it looks like a beautiful planet, right? If not the moon. So to me, it should be called a Jupiter stone. It looks more like Jupiter to me, but hey, I'll take the moonstone. So the moonstone on all the way to the right is cut as an oval cut. It's really, really pretty. If you know about the moonstone, definitely leave in the comment section below. It's really, really pretty. And if you've never seen it in person, I mean, I'd say, definitely take a look at it. Again, it's available on our website if you are interested at fireandbrilliance.com. All right. So, and the last but not least, I would have to say amethyst is a gorgeous, gorgeous gemstone. It just does not have much of attraction when it comes to a gemstone, only because it's very abundant, right? So it's actually quite abundant in nature. The color is just beautiful if you're into purples. And it's an amethyst, right? So many people don't talk about it, so I want to give it the light that it deserves. It's a deep, dark purple. It's very, very gorgeous. You can pair it with gold, yellow gold, two-tone, white gold, palladium, platinum, whatever it is that you are interested in. As you can see here, there are 5 different rings here with a amethyst center. That two-tone, oh, I'm sorry, 4, because there's 2 pictures of the same one. The picture with the two-tone, as you can see there, it gives it a beautiful pop to it. It pairs very well with rose gold and yellow gold if you're into more of that that pop look. Otherwise, you could always pair it with white gold, having the purple as the main attraction, right? So that is an amethyst, and amethysts are quite available. If you are interested, then again, make sure to reach out. But that said, amethyst is just a beautiful stone, and it is purple, so you can't deny it. It usually is either darker purple or a lighter purple, but it is definitely purple. All right. These natural gemstones are gorgeous, and obviously they make not only great fashion sense, but in today's world, the modern world, many people are actually opting to go with these natural gemstones that are not just the normal precious gemstones from diamonds, rubies, sapphires, and emeralds, or even moissanite. People are opting to go with other types of gemstones for their engagement ring. What do you think? Or would you consider these natural gemstones as an engagement ring, or would you prefer to stick to the traditional clear white gemstones such as a diamond or moissanite? Right. So let us know your thoughts below. What do you think, and would you rock these gemstones? All right. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you haven't checked out our previous episode last week, we did go over the synthetic and simulated definitions of what those definitions mean in terms of the lab created world. If you haven't checked that out already, we'll definitely link it right here so that you can tap or click it as soon as this live stream is over. Again, check us out next week. We'll be doing a live stream every single week moving forward until the foreseeable future. I'll see you again next week. Goodbye.